Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, March 6, 2023. Government will be spending an additional $100 million in response to the current meteorological drought that the country is experiencing. The sum is in addition to an initial $50 million previously announced. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement during a press conference on Friday. He says the response will be channeled through the Ministries of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Local Government and Rural Development, and Agriculture and Fisheries.
The government is putting in more resources. The resources will be targeted to needs. Of course, if it worsens or lasts longer than we expect, then we will come back to the nation, explain a new strategy of how we will assist.
Members of Parliament will receive an allocation through the Constituency Development Fund, but only in the parishes that have been assessed as being in need.
We still have sufficient supplies in our catchment and in our treatment facilities and in our reservoirs, even though some of them are showing decline. The utility areas, meaning the areas served largely by the NWC through metered water, they are not affected as badly as the rural areas. And so for this phase of our drought response, we're going to be focusing on the rural parishes, and we will be directing the funds by need.
The Prime Minister says urban communities that are affected will also benefit from the allocation. Additional trucks are also being purchased by the NWC to increase its trucking capacity. In the meantime, Mr. Holness is urging Jamaicans to conserve water to help mitigate the impact of the drought. 11 parishes are affected by the meteorological drought. The Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has approved funding of approximately $1.7 billion for Jamaica. This is being facilitated under its Precautionary and Liquidity Line, PLL, and Resilience and Sustainability Facility, RSF. Under a 24-month arrangement, the country can pull down $968 million from the PLL as insurance against risks for higher commodity prices. It will also serve as a buffer against tighter than envisaged global financial conditions and new COVID-19 outbreaks. Under the RSF, Jamaica will be able to strengthen its physical and fiscal resilience to climate change, advance decarbonization of the economy, and manage transition risks. The RSF is expected to catalyze funding for climate priorities from other official lenders and the private sector. The IMF has praised Jamaica's response to recent global challenges, pointing out that the government's interventions have led to the downward trend of public debt, and the overall fiscal balance is in line with the medium-term fiscal framework. Meanwhile, Jamaica's debt stock has decreased from $2.18 trillion in March last year to $2.16 trillion last month. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke says debt service obligations for the 2023-24 financial year will be lower than the current year ending March 31. He was providing an update during last week's meeting of the Standing Finance Committee of the House of Representatives.
Last year, the amortization, meaning the principal repayment on our debt was $162 billion, and we're forecasted in 23-24 that the repayment of debt, meaning obligations that come due, the principal that we're repaying, is $125 billion. So it is less by approximately $37 billion.
Minister Clarke also reveals that the bauxite levy inflow to the government's coffers this fiscal year is expected to total $1.2 billion. This, he says, is one of the better years, rebounding from past years of zero levy being collected.
You recall we went through a period where bauxite levy to the country was zero. Bauxite levy in 2019-20 was zero. Bauxite levy in 2021 was zero. Then we collected $2.4 billion in 21-22, some of which related to 19-20 and 2021. We had one company in particular where there was bauxite levy that was due over a number of years, and that came into the previous fiscal year.
Dr. Clarke says the government is projecting to collect approximately $1.3 billion for the 2023-24 financial year. Tourism stakeholders are being urged to take action to promote sustainable practices that benefit the ocean and marine systems. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett made the call at the recent Port Royal Lecture Series put on by the Caribbean Maritime University. He was speaking on resilience for the blue economy.
To ensure that the tourism industry plays its part in contributing to ocean sustainability, there needs to be what I call a seriousness of intent, purpose, and action among us, the tourism stakeholders, at all levels to address industrial action that harm ocean and marine resources.
The blue economy refers to the sustainable use of the ocean's resources for economic growth. Minister Bartlett says a blue economy approach for tourism will place emphasis on preserving the environment.
It is my view that a blue economy approach, where ecosystem services are properly valued and incorporated into development planning, will further advance the transition of the tourism industry, guiding tourism development and promoting lower impact activities such as ecotourism, nature-based tourism.
And finally, local businesses and exporters are being urged to take advantage of opportunities to expand exports to the UK market. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, says this large market values approximately £496 billion. He was speaking at the first UK-Jamaica Export Business Forum last week. Both countries used the event to renew efforts to grow trade and investments. Awareness was also built on opportunities in the UK through the CARIFORUM UK Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA.
There are a host of benefits made available to Jamaican exporters, including being provided with market intelligence and technical assistance, and don't underrate that. That's important. And I implore local business entities to delve into the details of the partnership agreement.
Minister Hill says he will be leading a trade and investment mission to Trinidad on March 15, then to the Dominican Republic shortly after, and to Britain later this year. Meanwhile, the UK's High Commissioner to Jamaica, Judith Slater, says trade barriers between the United Kingdom and the Caribbean are being permanently removed through the Economic Partnership Agreement. Duty-free access is also being provided to the UK market for Jamaica and other CARIFORUM exporters.
Trade between our two countries had been broadly stagnant for the best part of a decade, which is not where we want it to be.
I wish to thank the UK Department for International Trade for inviting the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce and JAMPRO to partner and collaborate on this event. We're very clear here in our agency as well as at our ministry that as a small island developing state, sustained trade is essential if we are to achieve economic growth.
The UK-Jamaica Export Business Forum provided exporters with an update on the implementation of the EPA and opportunities for expansion and diversification of exports into the United Kingdom. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.